What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. It is time to give you my game picks and predictions heading into week number 9 of the 2024 college football season. Going back to my game picks and predictions from last week in week number 8. My record from last week was 6-4, so I got 6 out of the 10 games right, and then 4 out of the 10 games wrong. So not a bad record. You know, my best record has been like 8-2 on average, and then my least average has been like 5-5, and then maybe 6-4. I haven't had a losing record yet throughout the entire season, and then of course my overall record throughout this college football season of 2024 is now 49-33. So that's what my record is now in this college football season at picking 10 of the biggest games in my opinion going into the 9th weekend of the 2024 season. So I picked out 10 games here for week number 9. I'm going to give you score predictions for all my games that I picked out here for this weekend. So let's go ahead and get right into these game picks and predictions here as we head into week number 9 of the 2024 season. And we'll start here on a Thursday night game. We got Syracuse versus Pittsburgh. This one's at 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN. Pittsburgh favored by 6 points in this one, and the over and under is at 62.5. Yes, this is a Thursday night game, which is coming up for you tomorrow. Pittsburgh ranked number 19th in the AP poll. They're undefeated at 6-0, taking on a Syracuse team that's pretty solid at 5-1. This is not a bad Syracuse team. I think people got to look at this Syracuse team and see that they're not really that bad of a team. They've won a few games now in a row, and they also gave UNLV, that top group of 5 team out of the Mountain West, their first loss of the season. So yeah, this is a pretty decent Syracuse team. They're sitting there at 5-1, and plus this game's on a Thursday night. We've seen some, close games on Thursday nights for some undefeated teams in the ACC in the past, and then also for some ranked teams as well. We saw Miami almost nearly lose to Virginia Tech back on September 27th on that Friday night game on weeknight game. This one's on a Thursday night. Pittsburgh, has kind of had a lot of time to prepare here for this Syracuse team. But, Syracuse, I think they're going to come out really fired up in this one. I think this is a close game. Pittsburgh, I just don't really know how good they are. I don't really, expect a, blowout in this one. I think a lot of people are going to say that Pittsburgh will just roll in this game. I don't really think so, though. I think this is a close game. I think it can definitely go either way. I would go with home field advantage here, but I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I think because of a weeknight game, we've seen some upsets here in the past. I think, Pittsburgh's probably going to struggle here. Maybe because, being undefeated, that's going to probably catch them off guard with the hype that they're getting. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Syracuse here to pull off a huge upset, 34-31. And the over and under is at 62.5. So we're kind of expecting some points to be scored here. And I think people kind of forget how good Syracuse is, and then also how good Kyle McCord was, in the first half of the season. So yeah, this Syracuse team, I got them winning this one 34-31 on this Thursday night game at 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN. Next up, we got a Friday night game in the group of 5. It's Boise State at UNLV. This one's going to be at 10:30 Eastern time on Friday night on the CBS Sports Network. Boise State's favored by 3.5. This ought to be a good one here. These are the 2 top teams in the Mountain West, and this is also my first prediction on a Group of 5 game throughout the entire season that we do in these predictions. And I don't really study the Group of 5 team that much, but, you look at this matchup here. It's between 2 of the top teams in the Mountain West. These are, really 2, talented teams at the Group of 5 level. They're not on the talent level, some of those, Power 4 teams, but these are 2 very talented teams at the Group of 5 level, and then also playoff contenders. This is kind of like a playoff game. This kind of, decides who has the best shot at probably making the playoff out of the Mountain West, and this also could be like a potential rematch in the Mountain West Conference Championship. Both teams are undefeated in the Mountain West Conference, but they both have 1 loss each coming over from the Power 4 level. Boise State lost to Oregon, and I just talked about it, UNLV lost to Syracuse. So yeah, these are really 2 good teams in the Group of 5 level. Boise State's got one of the top running backs in the country, potentially a Heisman candidate, but UNLV's got a pretty solid offense. I think we're expecting a lot of points to be scored in this one. I think this is a game that really can go either way. At the end of the day, though, I think Boise State's a little bit better than UNLV just based off of what I've seen this year. I know Boise State has not played like a tough competition ever since that Oregon game, but this is a really good team, and I think coming out of the bye week as well is going to help them. I know UNLV will be fired up from this one, but I'm going to go with the Broncos to get the win here. In a close one, though, 38-35. Maybe a turnover is the difference, and then also maybe a game-winning field goal could be the difference as well. But yeah, watch out for this one. I had this on the upset alert video. I won't be surprised here if UNLV does pull off the upset, but I got Boise State winning this one 38-35. Again, I just think they're the better team at the end of the day. Next up, we got Notre Dame at Navy, noon Eastern time on ABC. Notre Dame's favored by 13, and the over and under is at 51.5. This is a top 25 matchup. Notre Dame at 6-1, coming off that close, or not that close win against Georgia Tech. I actually had them losing to Georgia Tech, but Notre Dame definitely proved me wrong from last week. They showed why they are a very talented team, and this is still like the old Notre Dame teams that we're kind of expecting. But this is going to be a tough one. They're taking on a Navy team that's undefeated at 6-0. Not that the record really matters here for both of these teams, but this is a rivalry game. Anything can happen. Notre Dame's going to have to prepare for that triple option. We saw how the game was last year. Notre Dame absolutely dominated, but they had a lot of time to prepare for that triple option in the preseason. This year, they didn't have time to prepare for it a lot. I think Navy's going to slow the game down. They're going to run that clock down and make this one a really low-scoring type game. But at the end of the day, though, I think Notre Dame is just, a slightly more talented team. I really don't know how good Navy is, and this is kind of the first real tough test here for Navy as a top 25 team and then also as an undefeated team. But I won't be shocked here if Navy pulls off the upset. But I'm going to actually go with Notre Dame here. It's a close one, 27-21. So not a lot of points to be scored here just because of that triple option and everything that Navy runs. But I think Notre Dame's defense does just enough here and gets the win here over Navy, 27-21. Next up, we got Illinois versus Oregon at 3:30 Eastern time on CBS. So this is the 3:30 CBS kickoff game. Oregon favored by 21.5. That is a very big spread there for a top 25 matchup here in the Big Ten. I get it. Oregon is playing at home in this one. I feel like if this one was on the road, it would probably be like, a little bit of a smaller spread, like maybe somewhere around 14, maybe 10 points, somewhere in that range. Oregon is undefeated. They're coming off, that win against Purdue, so they've had a lot of time to prepare here for this Illinois team. You look at Illinois, though. They've been a very big surprise team this year. They're coming off that, win against Purdue a couple weeks ago, 40-49, and then, of course, they had that win over Michigan last weekend. Illinois' got a pretty solid defense just based off of what I've seen, but Michigan doesn't really have a great offense, so that's the reason why I think Illinois just won pretty big in that game. But, Oregon is playing at home in this one. I do kind of expect a dogfight maybe in the first half, but I think the Ducks win this one pretty big at the end of the day. They definitely should be able to take care of business. And maybe they cover that spread. You never know. They probably cover that spread by over 21.5 points. Again, they're playing at home. This is an Oregon team that's gotten a lot better ever since the first two games of the year where they had flat performances. So I got the Ducks winning this one by a big margin, 35-14. Again, that's the reason why they're playing at home. So Oregon and Illinois at 3:30 Eastern time on CBS. Next, we got Missouri at Alabama, 3:30 Eastern time as well on ABC. Alabama favored by 13.5. I did talk about that spread there in the upset alert video from yesterday. That's a very high spread there for an Alabama team that's coming off a tough loss to Tennessee last week, 24-17, and they're also coming in at 5-2. Missouri comes in at 6-1. Missouri also had a pretty flat performance though against Auburn. We saw Brady Cook go down with the injury. We don't really know the status of him going into this game, but I'm assuming he's going to play. But how does Alabama come out in this game? We saw them against South Carolina a couple weeks ago. We thought they were going to be a very angry Alabama team after they lost to Vanderbilt. But, they didn't look like it. They didn't look like the same Alabama team that we've seen ever since the Georgia game. Alabama's just been up and down. They have struggled, especially on the defensive side of the football. That's been the biggest weakness on this Alabama team. I don't think it's the offense, though. I think it's definitely the defense for Alabama, but this is definitely going to be a tough one here. Home field advantage might be the difference here. I've kind of been back and forth. I would say Missouri probably can take this win, but I'm actually going to go with Alabama. I think Alabama does bounce back after the loss to Tennessee. I really don't know how good Missouri is either. Missouri, we know that they're not a top 10 team, but we know they're like a top 25 team and everything. But I think they come out really competitive, but it won't be enough. I think Alabama survives another close one. Maybe it's kind of similar to the South Carolina game a couple weeks ago where they have a flat performance, but they just find way to win. And I got Alabama bouncing back here, 24-17. It's a close one here. I don't see them winning there by 13.5. That's just a very high spread here for the Crimson Tide, especially coming off a loss to Tennessee this past weekend. All right, next up we got Texas versus Vanderbilt. Speaking of Vanderbilt, they will be playing Texas here at 4:15 Eastern Time on the SEC Network. Texas is favored by 18.5. That's also a very high spread there, but I can see why it's a very high spread because Texas definitely has a big talent advantage over Vanderbilt here in this one. But you look at this game, Vanderbilt's going to come out really fired up. Vanderbilt did not play pretty well against, Ball State last weekend. Maybe they were kind of, looking ahead to that Texas game just a little bit. I think that's probably the reason why Vanderbilt just didn't really have a great performance against Ball State. They were definitely overlooking, overlooking Ball State and looking ahead to this game. Texas, how did they bounce back after the loss to Georgia? Their offense just really struggled in that game. Quinn Ewers just couldn't really get anything going for the Texas offense. And the defense, I think it's still good enough. I think Texas is like still a very talented team, but how talented are they? That's going to be the question mark here. This is not going to be an easy game, especially after coming off that loss to Georgia. Maybe Texas is kind of beat up a little bit. Maybe they're going to come out really slow in this game, but I think it's close for a first half. I think it's close in the first half, but I think second half Texas definitely will pull away. And I think Vanderbilt does fight hard here for quite a few quarters, but I think Texas wins this one and they pull away maybe by the late third quarter, and they probably just pull away in that fourth quarter, scoring touchdown after touchdown. And Texas wins this one 37-20. I got them winning this one by 17 points, but I won't be shocked here if Vanderbilt actually pulls off the upset. They've done it before. They did it to Alabama 3 weeks ago. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on this one if you're a Texas fan or a Vanderbilt fan. Next, we got Penn State at Wisconsin, 7:30 Eastern Time on NBC. Penn State favored by 6.5, and the over and under is at 47.5. Wisconsin's gotten a little bit better. They've gotten a little bit better ever since they lost to Alabama. This is a team that definitely looks a lot different. Tyler Van Dyke, of course, goes down with the injury, but the offense, I think, has gotten a little bit better. Their defense is starting to play pretty well. So, yeah, I think this game will kind of tell us if Wisconsin is definitely back to where they used to be, and they'll probably be, heading in the right direction with Luke Fickell. Penn State on the other side, they had a bye week this past weekend, so they've had kind of, some time to prepare here for this road trip. But it's a night game. It's going to be a very tough place to play here for the Nittany Lions, and they're ranked number 3 here in the AP poll. So this is definitely one of those upset alert kind of, games, but I think Penn State, though, is a slightly more talented team and definitely a more well-coached team. I think, Wisconsin makes this one a very close game, but kind of like similar to the USC game, I think Penn State, finds a way to win this one. It's a close game, but I think I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions here. I'm going to go 24-21, so maybe a turnover is the difference here. Maybe the defense makes a big-time stop here for the Nittany Lions, and they get the win here at the end of the day. So I got Penn State winning this one 24-21. On the road here at Wisconsin, again, a very tough place to play, but I won't be really shocked here if Wisconsin actually pulls off the upset here. And we'll definitely see Wisconsin definitely heading in the right direction with Luke Fickell. All right, next, LSU at Texas A&M, 7:30 Eastern Time on ABC. The Aggies are favored by 2.5. This, in my opinion, is the game of the weekend. I don't know why College Game Day will go to this game. I don't really know why they would not really go to this game. Maybe it's because they already made it to College Station, Texas in week 1, and that's the reason why they're not going to College Game Day here for the Aggies and the Tigers. But this is, in my opinion, the game of the weekend. You got Texas A&M with a home field advantage over LSU here. These are two teams that used to play here on rivalry weekend. And there's been a lot of great matchups. You look back at that overtime game back in 2018, I believe it was, or maybe some other year, but it was a great game. Yeah, there's been a lot of history here between LSU and Texas A&M. It seems like they go back and forth. It seems like, the home team wins at their home place, and then the home team wins at their home place. Yeah, I've kind of had a back and forth kind of time here with this one. It's a really close one to call. Texas A&M, though, is playing at home. This is one of the toughest places to play in all of college football. And this will definitely be a tough road test here for LSU. They had a road test last week against Arkansas, but that's not a very tough place to play. They took care of business in that game. This one will be even tougher, and I kind of been back and forth on this game. It's kind of be like the home field advantage for me. I think that's what comes down to the difference here. And I got the Aggies pulling off not really the big upset. I mean, just because they're ranked a little bit lower. They are favored in this game because they're playing at home, but I got them pulling off the upset here because they are the lower ranked team. LSU is ranked number 8 in the AP poll, and Texas A&M is ranked number 14. But I got the Aggies winning this one, 27-24, and this one definitely is the game of the weekend in my opinion. So I got LSU and Texas A&M winning this one, 27-24. Next, we got SMU and Duke at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ACC Network. SMU favored by 11.5. Duke, we don't really know how good this team is. They had that one loss to Georgia Tech. I mean, they probably should have won that game. They probably would have been undefeated here at 7-0 going into this game against SMU. This is a very talented SMU team. They've been a lot better ever since that loss to BYU in the early part of the regular season, and they were ranked in the top 25. I think this game will kind of tell us a lot about Duke, if they are for real or not. If they are for real or not. I mean, I think the Blue Devils, if they pull off the upset here, they'll definitely be for real at the end of the season. So, yeah, this is a game to keep an eye on here. I won't be really shocked here if Duke does pull off the upset, but I do like this SMU team a little bit better. I think it's a low-scoring type game. I think it's really a game that can go either way, but I think by the fourth quarter, I think Duke's going to run out of gas here, and I think SMU probably pulls away late in that fourth quarter, but they only win this one by 13, so I got SMU going over that spread, but they only win this one by 13. I got them winning, though, 27-14. Again, I just don't think – I'm just really having a hard time figuring out how good Duke is, and that same thing kind of goes with Pittsburgh and Duke. These are two teams that are not really that far behind in the ACC race, but I think this weekend we'll kind of learn about both of those teams. So SMU wins this one 27-14. And then finally we got Cincinnati versus Colorado. This one's at 10:15 Eastern Time on ESPN. Colorado favored by 5.5. You got two teams at 5-2, similar 5-2 records, and then similar records in the conference play at 3-1. These are two really, not surprise teams. Colorado is 5-2. I kind of expected them to kind of turn things around, but Cincinnati has really surprised me. They're 5-2. They beat Arizona State pretty easily last weekend, so this Cincinnati team has a little bit of momentum going into this game, but it is a very tough place to play. It's on the road at Colorado. The crowd's going to be really fired up. I think it's a really close game. I think it could go either way. It could be a game that goes into overtime. But I think what really changes the difference here, I think, Colorado maybe is down, 28-24, and, Shadir Sanders kind of makes enough of explosive plays, and I think Travis Hunter kind of makes the difference here for Colorado as well. And I think the Buffaloes pull it out. They win this one 31-28, maybe on a game-winning touchdown, or maybe like a game-winning stop on the defensive side of the football, and maybe they forced a turnover. But I got Colorado winning this one in a close one, 31-28. So those are my game picks and predictions heading into week number 9 of the 2024 college football season. Let me guys know what you think about my picks, and also give me your picks for these 10 games down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports YouTube channel.